everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. Back to talk more Lovecraft Back to talk more Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 3. This episode is called Holy Ghost. I want to thank everybody who finds this video, despite having all these people who have early access that release their reviews right after it airs. It's real fun to be like last in line when people are getting an advantage over you. But it's small potatoes, right? It's small potatoes. It's what you say, not how early you say it, right? And as many people as we can reach. This is a pretty interesting episode because, first off, I'm happy to say I like that. I noticed that Letty Lewis has her own hashtag now, which was pretty cool. What we talked about last week, where shockwaves from the events of the first two episodes would start to ripple off into the rest of the show, and that's showing it here. Didn't really know how until the end of the episode, but we get a lot here, and it's a haunted house episode, and so it's a lot of fun. This episode was written again by Misha Green, and again directed by Daniel Sackheim, who I like because he did a lot of episodes of House MD. And one of my personal favorites, The X-Files. He did a lot of cool stuff on The X-Files, so it works here. Again, he's good with this kind of stuff. This is kind of like a haunted house meets Mississippi Burning style story where a bunch of crackers are still trying to harass these people. The racism in this show, boy, you know, this is sometimes a difficult show to watch, not because I'm for racism or something. No, it's because of how the world is right now and how much of a powder keg all this is, and how much of a cold glass of water splashed in the face, kind of like Michael Kenneth Williams got in this episode, that it is every single week. And with like the stresses and everybody is feeling this week, especially now with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, you know, it feels like everybody, we're just all about to lose it. And so when we watch at least when I watch episodes like this and I have to see more of the systemic racism that's been plaguing African Americans and other people of color for centuries, it can be a bit much. Not because I don't want to face it, but because it's just like it's just this evil is, we're surrounded by so much evil right now. And to all you fucking cracker racists out there, you're not gonna watch this, but you know, fuck you. Okay? Every time, and especially in this episode when they get their comeuppance, it always feels so good. It always feels so good. But anyway, in this episode, it is a haunted house episode, right? So we've got cliches up the wazoo. But what makes this work? What makes those cliches work, right? Cliches don't have to be bad if they're done in a certain way. And when you've got this story that is involving 1950s Jim Crow laws with the supernatural. And in this one, it's really not just Jim Crow laws. It's just flat out like racism, and it's kind of interesting, the correlation of the house wants them to get out and the neighborhood wants them to get out. So it's a twofold thing here for Letty. And it's done really, really well, even if you've got all the things that are standard in here. You've got Ouija boards, you've got seances, you've got things moving in the night, you've got, you know, stuff that, you know, you don't see. You got a few jump scares. You've got a sacrificial goat. It's all in here, but done in a really great way. And so, you know, you can do those cliches as long as you do something interesting with them, and they do interesting things with them here, and usually done in a way that makes you cheer in a way, especially near the end. Not cheer like, oh God, yeah, it's a Ouija board scene. I don't mean it like that. But in this also, Jurnee Smollett, again, just keeps killing it. I haven't seen a great badass uh, person of color character since Tulip O'Hare, played by Ruth Negga on Preacher. She is taking up the reins from that character, and we're getting another badass character in Jurnee Smollett, Letitia, who's not just a badass, but she's complicated. She's got a troubled past. She's trying to make up for the way she was in the past. Unfortunately, she's been manipulated unbeknownst to her behind the scenes by another outside player who got her to buy this house. And that was an interesting thing right away, is that there was a mystery of where'd this money come from, because we kind of jump right into this where she's just buying a house. Like, where'd she get this money? We didn't discuss this before. I don't believe so. But she buys this house for her and her sister, and to take in boarders, to help the community out, to help, other black people, get off the streets and try to, grow and become, I don't know what I'm saying. But we get our first jump scare here where they have an elevator. And it's like, oh yeah, the elevator's going to play a big part in this. And it does. We get our first kind of jump scare where the elevator kind of moves on its own. That kind of barrels down into the basement. How many floors does this place have? Because that thing looked like it was going down quite a long ways. We also get to see what happens with life without Uncle George back at his house. And they're trying to keep the guide on. Tick's trying to keep the things going there. But they haven't told her. They haven't told her the truth. They don't want to talk about monsters and spells and wizards and all these things that she would have to, they'd have to subject her to. That she'd either think they're crazy, or I don't even know what would be worse than that. Trying to explain that to somebody, who hasn't experienced it, would be difficult at best. I love the "I got you, kid" story that Tick tells that Tick is telling his dad that Uncle George used to tell him about the guy that came out of nowhere to help them from being attacked by racists. And it kind of feels like a tall tale. It kind of feels like this ghostly tale that, might have happened, might not have happened. In this show, I feel like it's something that did happen. And we'll probably get a callback to that. That definitely feels like a little bit of foreshadowing, where we'll see maybe a flashback to that actual moment somewhere down the line. But I really dug that story. I also find out that it's been 3 weeks since he died. They've been covering up the story because, well, yeah, you have to cover this story up. You can't, again, going back to monsters and wizards. But that Tick plans on leaving. He's like, there's nothing left for me here. My dad's here. He can help. Letitia's there. She's taking care of herself. Nobody really needs me anymore. I've done my bit. But in this moment, this is when the crackers roll up in their cars, all sitting there blowing their horns with bricks on them. It must be difficult to play a racist in a show. I'm just saying, actors gotta act, right? But when you go, what do I get to play in this? Oh, you get to play a horrible racist fuck. Oh, good. I'd like to think that they're just playing the parts, right? But the cops, of course, they don't do anything. And Tick decides, well, no, I'm not going anywhere if this is going on. And we even get the undesirables must go sign. So again, like I said, we've got the ghost in the house trying to push them out, and the neighbors just want them out, period. Which also kind of gives a new meaning to Jordan Peele's "Get Out." But we have all sorts of things going on here. There's a gory ghost scene with, creeping on the edge of the bed with that messed up mouth. That was a pretty cool effect. You got the spooky basement, where I got to think about that, man. Basements, like it was before the Blair Witch Project. The basements got to me. But that movie didn't help. There was a time when I would go down into basements, when I would go back up stairs from a basement, I would go backwards, like facing whatever was there. It's gotten better over the years, but every once in a while, you've been in a basement that might even just look normal and just give you the creeps. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but you get the typical spooky basement here, voices, banging, and I like that. If this was any normal character, they'd be like, what was that? That couldn't have, like maybe trying to make it. But since they've already been through some shit, we don't have to go through that here. And they're just like, she just immediately goes into kind of like research mode. He also talk about how these were tactics used in Korea. And he doesn't look too pleased with himself. Another cool thing about this is that a lot of the supernatural events that happen here kind of take place during this house party, which is another cool thing that I don't think I've seen too many movies that use supernatural events in an actual setting with a lot of people. Usually these kind of events happen in movies when it's just one person by themselves, or people that are just a few people in a place that get separated. In this, it's happening like right there. Now, maybe it's not happening in the middle of the party, but usually, you know, these kind of things take place in the dark and when everything is gone home. I love all the like ghostly images. Like the guy's got the shit through his head. That was creepy in the mirror. But the kids, they're playing with a Ouija board. It freaks out George's daughter because it says George is dead, I believe. You know, Tick is there in his soldier uniform to try to push the, make sure that the racists know that a soldier lives here. But this is this really weird moment, right? And it's this kind of desperate moment because Tick and Letitia have been having this kind of sexual tension, romantic tension between them. And, we saw she had desire for him. We know he has desire for her. She tries to hold his hand earlier and he kind of pulls it away. I don't know if that's kind of because of maybe that voice on the phone from Korea. Like maybe he's got I don't know, maybe a Korean wife or girlfriend somewhere. And that he comes home and he has to, he's confronted with the feelings for somebody from his past that, in Letty, that he did have feelings for, and those feelings are back again the longer he stays. Maybe not. But something is preventing him from doing anything about it. And maybe it's the fear of what's in his life. Maybe it's the fear of something happening to her because of everything that's been going on. And he already saw her die once. And I don't think he wants that to happen again, so maybe he's trying to push her away. But when he sees her up against another guy, and Letty, let's face it, Jurnee Smollett, she's hot. Okay, she's a fantastic actress, but she is hot. And if you like her and you see her grinding up against a guy and you know that there's a chance that you could be with her if you just grow a sack, I love that he's having a hard time with this. The only problem is how they deal with it. She runs up to the bathroom. She sees him looking at her. And she's splashing water on her face, and she's probably going like, "What am I doing?" He comes in after the ghost was there, which was great. Usually the jump scare would be right there. You turn around, something else, is actually there, but the jump scare, it's not really there. Pardon me. It's him, Tick, standing in the doorway, and they just go at it, and they have sex. And it just feels like just two desperate people that should be together, just not in this kind of angry, jealous, desperate moment. I don't know about anybody else. It just, because even they both felt like afterwards, he's kind of like, and she's kind of like, and when he found the blood, she was a virgin. I was like, oh my gosh, she was a virgin. But she says that it was her time of the month. And so they just kind of play it off, and she starts crying. And I should have stayed with my first reaction, because virginal, that's a very cliched horror movie thing right there, but they did a really interesting thing where they try to dissuade you from that. But then we get the cross burning. So right after this emotional sexual encounter, there's a cross burning. She's had enough. She's been through something, and again, I should have seen and I should have stayed with that virginal thing because she just lost her virginity. I'm spoiling it. Hey, the video said spoilers at the beginning. So all these emotions are welling up in her. She's had enough, and she breaks the car's windows and gets the bricks off them. You know, her sister at least drives away with her. Maybe it was George's wife that took off at him. I can't remember now, but they all get arrested. And on the way to the police station, you know, or maybe it was just Jurnee that got arrested. We don't really see anybody else. Letty. That she gets asked a lot of questions by these cops about why she's there. Who told you to live there? And I immediately was like, oh, those cops killed all those people in the basement. But that's not quite the story. But they throw the car around and just to get her answers, and they realize that she doesn't have any. So these cops are worried about it. And that's why I thought maybe the cops were involved in the deaths in that house, because they want to know, like, why would anybody buy that place? Why would an African American buy that place? You know, it's about the Winthrop house, they call it. You know, and there were 8 people that died there. And you see the faces that she sees in the photos when she comes home. And the faces become this thing that comes out of the floor saying, literally, get out of my house, which was pretty crazy. We find out that the money that she used for the house, she says, came from her mother. That she got an inheritance out of nowhere. But her mom never had any money, so it was some sort of secret stash. But they talk about how her mother didn't do anything for anybody. And now her sister's claiming, you know, neither did you. I mean, I help you out, and you're still just looking out for yourself. But you can tell on Letty's face that this is all just backfiring. Everything is just, all her intentions are backfiring because of this move into this house. But again, like, she doesn't realize she's being manipulated. And that manipulation causes this even more tension between the two sisters. And Montrose, played by Michael Kenneth Williams, who I love this guy. Hippolyta, I think is her name. That's butchering it probably. She's not convinced that they're telling her the right truth about how George died. Which, it's just a small moment, but, you know, it's definitely something that's going to come up even more, I'm sure. But Letty figures out that the people that died there were missing people that have been brought there by this guy named Epstein. She thinks it's experiments. They don't really go too far into, like, what was going on in that basement, why he was bringing in bodies at first, except he was trying to do things that we find out from at the end, that he was working on shit that Titus was working on, and he had pages of the Book of Adam. He was trying to do some crazy magical wizard crap and using people of color as his victims. And probably brought there by the cops, for all I know. I mean, I think that maybe that's what it was, is they were supplying him, you know, with bodies, live bodies from other places. And that if anybody figured out the connection to that, then they'd be in trouble. Maybe. I mean, at this point, it seems like these guys just kind of do whatever they want. But it's this point that you find out that Letty was a virgin. And then they sacrifice a goat. And they let the blood out everywhere. And so we get a seance. We get marks on the head. We get all this kind of, like, you know, the Conjuring type stuff in here. Where, again, you know, they're trying to do a seance. They're trying to get rid of these spirits that are in the house. Meanwhile, 3 more of these little racist crackers shitheads come busting in, and this was great, because this is where they get their comeuppance, where, you know, you don't be coming into anybody's house, let alone a haunted house, and the spirits that live there decide, hey, guess what? It's open season on anybody. And that baby, the athlete body with the baby head, I don't care if it didn't look that great as an effect. It was awesome. This little baby head going. It's just freaking amazing. And yeah, those guys are dead because they have that heater that's about to blow up. The elevator decapitating the guy was a nice callback. Boom. And I don't know why they stayed on the neck wound of that, where the blood just kept out. But it definitely is effective. Don't break into people's houses. Racist. But a burst pipe happens, the water comes off, and Tick gets possessed, along with the woman doing the seances. And this is where Letty pulls, like, and this is a great scene, like the strain on her and all this water coming down and her screaming, to basically get everything out of her house. This is her house. All these things that have happened emotionally to Letty in this episode, being confronted by her sister, trying to do the right thing, losing her virginity in this like kind of crazy, way, and all the racist things that are happening to her, and just it's a lot, and it just all kind of comes out in this scene where she calls out the names of the dead people to fight and get this person, the one who killed them, out of here. And it's Epstein that did it, and he finally leaves Tick's body and assumedly gets sent to fucking wherever. Hell, I guess, in this world. And so all that gets resolved, and she does turn everything around at the end of this episode. She actually making the place into a proper boarding house for people, that it will help the community. And you never see they don't know what happened to the bodies. I don't even know if Letty knows what happened to the bodies, but they're in a different kind of level of that basement. That's also a long ass tunnel filled with skeletons. So wherever that tunnel goes, maybe we'll find out in the next episode. The trailer for next week kind of makes it look like we will. But we also find out that the realtor named JJ that said that sold her the house was really working for Christina, the blonde Aryan daughter looking chick, Titus's daughter. She's the one who set it all up. She's the one who gave her the money. And it's like, I guess she thinks she's helping. Again, these people are very bizarre in their motives. I think what she also really wants is magic and power. I don't know where selling Letty's house gets her, except maybe kills Letty to get her out of the way so that Tick wouldn't have a reason to, remove her from the board, so that Tick would just do whatever she wants. I don't know. But she's there just pulling strings from behind the scenes. He even tries to kill her, but she clearly has some kind of spell that protects her and stops him from pulling the trigger. And that she's looking for the pages of Adam that this Epstein guy stole, and imagine the possibilities of what you could do if you found those pages. And leaves him with, hey, you didn't really think you could just go around killing white women, did you? So that's episode 3, Holy Ghost, and holy moly, that was just a really good episode. And again, Jurnee Smollett and everybody else on this show. This was her episode. It was also, it was a Jonathan Majors episode. He had some great moments in here too. But it was really hers, and that's why I believe that must be why the hashtag Letty Lewis has started today. And I'm going to put it in this description because I love this character. I really do. In fact, I think she's the standout character in this show, especially now that Uncle George is gone. I'm not saying Tick isn't a very good episode or a character, but she's definitely the standout. And so we'll be back next week with episode 4. I hope you guys are liking listening to me ramble on about these episodes as much as I love rambling on about them. And I also really love sticking it to racist fucks. So anyway, if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, we'll see you next week for more Lovecraft Country. Bye.